Now I'm joined from the other side of the aisle, Republican Senator and likely 2016 presidential candidate, Lindsey Graham. Senator Graham, I want to pick up on a point that we just left off with Senator Feinstein, and that is a potential agreement with Iran on a nuclear deal. The fallout of not getting a deal. And I know people say what the deal is. If we don't strike a deal with Iran, do you worry about Iran becoming more rogue?
Well, here's what I worry the most about: locking in place a nuclear infrastructure that will lead to a North Korean outcome where you give them a industrial size enrichment capability. The UN fails to contain it, and one day they get a bomb. When they say they're not trying to build a bomb, I think they're lying. So I'd much rather not have a deal than lock in place what would be eventually a North Korean outcome. So a bad deal is off the table. No deal is better than a bad deal. People say that. I believe it.
Now, but when it comes to Iran, how important do you believe Iran is right now in the fight against ISIS in Iraq?
Well, I think they're important in destabilizing the region. They're not helping the cause of freedom or a democracy or anything else. They just toppled the government in Yemen by supporting the Houthis. The Shia militia on the ground are committing war crimes inside of Iraq. Assad is the puppet of Iran, and he's killed 220,000 of his own people. They're not an ally to anybody in the region. No Sunni Arab state sees Iran as an ally, and I certainly don't.
But right now, is Iraq our ally? And if Iraq's our ally, Iraq considers Iran an ally, do they not?
Who's our enemy? ISIL's our enemy. Iran is our enemy. The senior leadership of Saudi Arabia told, yes, Iran is our enemy. They're a cold-blooded, cruel regime that's killed American soldiers in Iraq and Afghanistan. They're the leading state sponsor of terrorism. They've destabilized the region. They're building ICBMs. They've tried to create a nuclear program, not a peaceful nuclear power plant. They're the enemy of us. They're an evil regime. The president and the foreign minister are moderates masquerading as trying to be moderates when they're not. This is not a moderate regime. If they get more money, Chuck, from sanction relief, what would they do with it? Build schools and hospitals? No. They would advance their religious cause. They're the root cause of this problem in the Mideast as much as ISIL.
All right.
I fear them more than I fear ISIL. I fear Iran.
You fear Iran more than ISIS.
Absolutely. It's not even close. And Iran with a nuclear weapon is the nightmare for us, Israel, the entire region. Sunni Arab states will get a nuclear weapon of their own. You'll have a nuclear arms race in the Mideast. And the Iranians or regime cannot be trusted. And at the end of the day, Congress should approve any deal between us and Iran. And I believe there's growing bipartisan support that sanctions should not be lifted unless Congress agrees.
All right. I want to, since you're potentially running for president, I'm going to run through a few other issues here, since you have to be nimble on your feet now that you're a presidential candidate. The unemployment rate dropped to 5.5%. Lowest unemployment rate since May 2008. Unemployment fell in every state in 2014 for the first time since 1984. You and other Republicans had doom and gloom about Obama's economic policies in 9 and 10. I understand we've got still some wage issues to go. But do you acknowledge that some of this rhetoric was wrong and that progress has been made?
I think that we do have stagnant middle-class wage growth, and I think the labor participation rate is at an all-time low. So if your argument is that we're on the road to recovery, we have a sound economy under President Obama, no, I don't agree with that at all.
So you don't believe any of these improvements are good?
I think it's always good to have lower unemployment, but it's never good to be underemployed. It's never good to have the most number of people in the history of America not looking for work anymore. And I think the structural problems created by Obamacare are yet to come. And really, in many ways, the EPA regulation on carbon, if it goes into effect, you're going to drive up energy costs. And one reason we're enjoying low energy prices, gas prices, is because the Arabs are trying to drive Iran into the ground. It's got nothing to do with supply and demand. The Sunni states that have oil resources are trying to keep oil prices low to hurt Russia and Iran.
We've not heard from Senate Republicans on wanting to open their own version of an investigation into Libya or the Benghazi situation. Does anything that happened this week with Secretary Clinton's email situation make you rethink the decision by Senate Republicans to whether to participate in an investigation?
I have confidence that Trey Gowdy will get to the bottom of this. And at the end of the day, what I want was any other cabinet member during the time that she served, did they have a private email account?
Do you have a private email address?
For me to know.
Do you have a private email address?
I don't email. No, you can have every email I've ever sent. I've never sent one. So I don't know what that makes me, but it may. But really, this is big in this regard. Did she communicate on behalf of the Clinton Foundation as Secretary of State?
Right.
Did she call the terrorist attack in Benghazi a terrorist attack in real time? I want to know. And the one thing I'll never agree to is let the State Department to tell us what emails we should receive, or let her and her team tell us. Some independent group should do that. All
right. Senator Graham, on the campaign trail in New Hampshire, Iowa yesterday. We'll be watching for your formal announcement soon. Thanks for coming back on Meet the Press.